Section 4. You will hear part of an environmental sciences lecture. First, you have some time to look at questions 31 to 40. Now listen carefully and answer questions 31 to 40.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Professor Wilson, and I'm lecturing you today as part of your Environmental Sciences course. Part of this course is concerned with pollution issues in our world today, and part of this lecture will look at some of the ways that the oil industry has developed to deal with oil spills around the world. Oil tankers are the largest ships to sail in the ocean. For countries such as Japan that have no oil deposits of their own, tankers are the only way that oil needed to power their economies can be moved. They are designed to hold millions of barrels of crude or refined oil in reasonable safety and without damage to the environment. When oil is released from these ships, the oil spreads out over the surface of the water in a large slick. These oil slicks can cover hundreds of miles, and they cause huge environmental damage. Oil is released for varying reasons. Accidents while loading and unloading and deliberate spills account for many slicks today, but it is ships hitting other ships or rocks which is the major cause of slicks. Because oil slicks are so damaging to the environment, numerous ways of containing them and cleaning them up have been developed. In previous years, slick cleaners would sometimes try to set fire to the slicks and burn them off, but that is rarely done nowadays because, surprisingly, nearly all oil slicks consist of compounds that aren't flammable. Combustibility comes after refining. The 4 ways of cleaning up oil spills that we'll look at today are as follows: the containment boom, chemical detergents, the sponge, bacteria. The containment boom is the most common method of cleaning up after an oil spill. Barriers are erected in the water and the oil is then sucked up. Basically, a containment boom is just a large float that surrounds and contains the slick. This method is cheap and straightforward, however only functions in very calm seas. Another method to clean slicks is to spray detergent solution from airplanes or boats directly onto the spill. Depending on the detergent, 2 things can happen. One possible result is that the oil can break up into clumps, which sink to the bottom of the ocean. Although these clumps are themselves hazardous, the problems caused by the clumps are much easier to deal with than the problems caused by oil slicks. The other possibility is that the oil then breaks down into tiny droplets, which are soon spread and become harmless. This method is well suited to dealing with the larger slicks. A negative aspect is that often the chemicals remain in the water, and they can kill fish and other marine life. A Berlin-based company has developed an alternative method for cleaning up oil spills. Eco-Carbon has invented a giant sponge made of lignite resin that sucks up the oil, preventing it from harming the environment. The sponge comes as a mat, which contains crushed coal, whose small granules can soak up large amounts of oil. The process is safe and cheap. The sponges have so far withstood small-scale testing in pools of water with miniature oil slicks. A unique advantage is that once the oil is absorbed into the mat, it remains fixed there permanently. The downside, however, is that the mats become toxic waste. Scientists are also trying to improve other methods to fight oil spills. At the scenes of oil spills around the world, they found bacteria that seem to have an appetite for the toxic black sludge. Now the scientists are breeding these bacteria and studying them to determine which is the most effective at reducing oil levels. Eventually they hope to put the best bacteria to work in helping clean up after oil spill disasters. The bacteria actually use the oil as food. As the bacteria reproduce, they eat more and more of the slick until it finally vanishes. Eventually this method should be cheap, easy to administer, and be completely eco-friendly, as when the slick is gone, the bacteria's food source is gone, and they die, leaving nothing behind at all. So far, this method has no discernible drawbacks. Well, that's the end of the section of the lecture on cleaning up spills. This subject is an optional essay for your course. You'll find the reading lists and essay questions on the faculty notice boards along with a deadline for submission. If you choose it, seminars will be held at a later date.
That is the end of section 4. You'll now have half a minute to check your answers.